The Border Management Authority says it has managed to process the Christmas Day backlog of more than 18,000 people at the Lebombo border post. Thousands of travelers were stuck for hours yesterday waiting to cross into Mozambique. For more on the story, I'm now joined by Mmemme Mogotsi, the Deputy BMA Commissioner. Mmemme Mogotsi, a very good evening to you and thank you for joining us during this festive season. So we saw that those backlogs and those queues at the Lebombo border post were snaking for quite some kilometers. Over 18,450 travelers were exiting South Africa into Mozambique on Christmas Day alone. Maybe just talk to us with regards to how you managed those high volumes, especially that you were processing these manually.
Yes, thank you, Katlego, for having us. In terms of the integration of our work on the ground, working with other law enforcement authorities, supporting the BMA work, really assisted us in processing this. We had to look at our high volume areas, which were pedestrians that needed to be processed quickly yesterday, and we had to deploy more resources that were taken from various areas to come and assist with processing that. And Katlego, just to highlight that, we processed over 18,000 travelers overall yesterday, but only 450 were processed manually. And what we have done so far is that we have now integrated those statistics to the overall numbers so that we consolidate and we add those travelers into the overall statistics. So, and it was mainly women and children that we see that, were vulnerable in terms of waiting in the long queues that we had to process manually so that we assist them quickly. So in this regard, we were able to mitigate incidents on the ground and we successfully processed everyone. And with regards to today, we did not have much in terms of incidents that took place except for the early morning interception that was done of a smuggler who was trying to bring in about 84 pairs of Nike sneakers into the country illegally.
And this smuggler, were they or rather trying to come in from Mozambique into South Africa? Is that the case?
Yes, definitely. They were trying to bring in illegal parcels, pairs of sneakers that they were trying to import into the country legally without the regular processes, and they were using areas that are not permitted, like vulnerable segments, to try and bring in those illegal goods into the country, and they were intercepted. One other facilitator was also arrested by the BMA officials who was also trying to facilitate illegal entry. And from yesterday, just to highlight that, we had our heightened patrols. And with regards to interceptions, we were able to intercept about 88 individuals that presented themselves, but were declared undesirable due to overstaying in the country, overstaying the 90 days into the country.
And I mean, you speak about the heightened patrol. How do you find a balance between facilitating legitimate travel as well as just maintaining that security and preventing of such counterfeit goods being brought into the country?
It's through our integrated models and support from our law enforcement agencies who are also working with the BMA. So through the ports of entry, we facilitate legitimate movement, but there would be other travelers who would present themselves with documents that are not in order, and they do not meet the requirements to enter the country or have overstayed like the ones that were intercepted. So in terms of deployments on the ground, we are able to just look at all the areas of deployments from immigration, as well as all the vulnerable segments in the borderline that need to be taken care of as well. So we have multiple teams on the ground that we are working with, and through BMA coordination, we are able to also rope in the police who are assisting us in the border environment, as well as the South African National Defence Force, SARS officials as well, that are helping with regards to deployments and looking at areas that need attention.
And I can imagine that your hands are also quite full when it comes to cargo movement and just the congestion in that regard. Over 800 trucks that moved between South Africa and Mozambique carrying cargo?
Yes, definitely. We were able to successfully process over 800 trucks yesterday, mainly that were moving through from the Kilometer 7 staging area that we have established. So we successfully processed them. We are still consolidating the numbers for today that will guide us in terms of how many trucks were able to be processed today. So with regards to movement of people as well as trucks, we have successfully decongested the port of entry as well as the N4 corridor leading to the port of entry in terms of trucks that were lining up on the corridor. Currently, we are processing them as they come, and the operation is successful. But normally at this time of the year, like on the 26th, 27th, the movements are quite, minimal. We will see another escalation again when travelers come back into the country in the beginning of the new year. And we are also ready to deploy ourselves and all our officials in all areas that need attention.
Touching on that return leg that will happen within that first week of January, in terms of the lessons learned with this leg when people were exiting the country, are you planning to continue with the manual system? What interventions are you looking to put in place in order to avoid for those snaking queues to take place as we saw when people were leaving South Africa into Mozambique?
Yes, like Katlego, we're looking at increasing our deployment. We know the top 10 ports of entries that normally present heightened movements in this time of the year. And in the early month of the year when travelers are returning, Beitbridge being one of them, Lebombo still facilitating travelers to come back into the country. So what we have done, we are looking at a risk-based approach where we are deploying resources from not the very busy ports of entry. We are bringing them in the heightened ports of entry where we have officials that are added over and above the festive deployments. We are adding more resources again to ensure that we manage all the traffic and volumes. So in this regard, we are doing strategic deployments in terms of looking at the congested and areas that would need, that will have bottlenecks, like the pedestrians. Now with the weather patterns that we are in, we were experiencing high temperatures in Lebombo. We expect that again in the Beitbridge area. So we will be ensuring that, we process travelers and ensuring that, when they have the requisite documents, we assist them quickly so that they don't get affected by the severe weathers of, high temperatures that are normally in those areas. So our deployment will be moved around as well. We look at patterns from last year as well, what was experienced. But normally, we would be adding more resources on the ground and also coordinating with the strategic stakeholders to assist us. Our partnership now have extended to other departments. You'd be aware that the Department of Tourism has also assisted us with tourism monitors, officials that are assisting just with the queue management, and we are working very closely with them, and they are really assisting on the ground. With regards to the management of children that are being intercepted, the Department of Social Development is on the ground as well, assisting us to manage those vulnerable sectors, children and women who are being intercepted in the port environment.
Right. And when you speak about strategic stakeholders, I can imagine how important the community itself is, especially when it comes to intelligence gathering by the BMA. Are you getting enough of the public reporting on some of the suspicious activity, especially when it comes to people crossing the border illegally?
Yes, definitely, Katlego. We have in the previous years launched our anti-corruption hotline that is assisting us greatly in terms of, some of the tip-offs, in terms of some of activities that are happening in the port environment. We are monitoring that line. We are taking all the reports. It's a toll-free line, but it's also available on the BMA website on an online platform. So it's manned 24 hours. We are promoting it in every platform that we encounter. And we are getting assistance from the citizens, and it is supposed to be like that because we don't have our eyes 24/7 across all sectors in a port environment. So citizens are really assisting. We encourage them to provide us with the information that will assist us in terms of the time of the incidents, the date, the officials that are involved, because Katlego officials are wearing name tags when they're in the work environment. So if there's any other activities that they pick up that involves our officials or any other law enforcement, they are able to inform us so that we are able to follow through. But we need the correct information that will guide us for us to do follow-ups and to do investigations. We have quite a number of cases currently within the BMA that we are following up, and some of them have been concluded. And it's through these interactions that have assisted us to working with the communities that assist us with information that we might not be aware of.
All right, Deputy Commissioner, thank you so much for your time. You certainly still have your hands very full, especially when it comes to that return leg of travellers coming back into the country in that first week of January. That was Mmemme Mogotsi, the Deputy BMA Commissioner, speaking to us there about some of the developments at the Lebombo border post.